Hey everyone, Washi here. Before we start today's episode, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future episodes of Anna and the Uncanny Encounter. New episodes are scheduled to release every Thursday evening, unless otherwise announced. If you're new here, come join Anna, Bon, Jane, and Risa as they navigate senior year in St. Paul, Minnesota. Some days it's just school, work, friendships, and Bon making Anna's life difficult. Other days it's ghost sightings, strange encounters, creepy mysteries, and things that definitely should not exist. Whether it's Anna daydreaming about girls way out of his league, Bon teasing him nonstop, Jane trying to survive everyone around her, or Risa getting caught up in the weirdness, there's always something happening. Thanks for watching, and welcome to the world of Anna and the Uncanny Encounter. Now, let's get into episode 2. If senior year had a rule book, I'm pretty sure nowhere in it did it say, Step 1, get cursed by a mystery letter. Step 2, start seeing dead people. Step 3, wake up like your soul got hit by a truck. But that was my morning. I woke up late. Not normal late either. Not 5 more minutes late. I woke up like my body had just barely agreed to let me keep living after what happened last night. My eyes snapped open. For a second, I didn't move. I just stared at the ceiling. My room looked normal again. No tall thing at the foot of my bed, no shadow leaning over me, no paralysis, no blue light, no screaming. Just my ceiling. My blanket twisted around my legs, my heart beating too hard for a room that was supposed to be empty. I slowly turned my head toward the corner. Nothing. I looked toward the foot of the bed. Nothing. For one dumb second, I almost convinced myself that maybe it had all been a nightmare. Then I remembered the letter, the bus stop, the girl, the thing in my room, the blue orb. Yeah, not a nightmare. Then I looked at the time, and my soul left my body for a completely normal reason. I was about to miss the bus. Oh, crap. I launched out of bed, got tangled in my blanket, almost died on my own floor, and stumbled into the kitchen still half shaky from the night before. The house smelled like rice and fried egg. Good, familiar, normal, exactly what I needed. I slapped rice into a bowl, threw an egg on top, and ate like somebody was timing me for a game show. Too hot. Didn't care. I burned my tongue, blinked through the pain, and kept eating because fear apparently makes you stupid and hungry at the same time. I shoved another bite into my mouth, grabbed my bag, and ran out the door still chewing. The October air hit me cold. The kind of cold that makes your whole body remember you live in Minnesota. I jogged down the sidewalk, trying not to think about last night. Didn't work. Every few steps I kept catching something white at the corner of my eye. A flash. A flicker. Like somebody in pale clothes was just barely behind me. I whipped my head around. Nothing. I kept running. Again, white at the edge of my vision. I looked. Nothing. Cool, I muttered to myself. Awesome. Love this. I was close enough to hear the bus before I saw it. Then I rounded the corner to my stop, breathing hard, and froze. She was there, the bus stop girl. Same quiet face, same still body, same weird not right feeling around her. The school bus pulled up with a hiss. The doors folded open. She was closer to the door than me, so I waited for her to get on first. She didn't move. The doors stayed open. She didn't move. The driver leaned forward. You getting on, or what? I looked from him to the girl. She still didn't move. Kid, let's go. So I got on. The second my foot hit the bus floor, I heard Bon from the back. Yeah, there he is. I wanted the floor to open and take me. Bon was already sprawled over the back seat like he owned public transportation, football duffel at his feet, hoodie on, grinning at me like the universe had delivered him entertainment. I headed down the aisle and dropped into the seat near him. Bon looked me over. Why it take you so long to get on? I glanced toward the front. There was a lady standing there. Bon blinked. What lady? At the stop. He leaned sideways and looked up the aisle, then back at me. Bro, what lady? I turned fast. The ghost girl was suddenly on the bus now, walking down the aisle. My chest tightened. She passed our row without looking at me and kept going. I stared at her. Bon stared at me, staring. "Okay," he said slowly. "You look insane right now." I swallowed. "Do you not see her?" Bon followed my line of sight again. No reaction, nothing. He leaned in. "Anna, stand still." "What?" "Stand still." "Why?" "Just stand still." I stayed still because, honestly, I was too stressed to argue. Bon reached over, pinched something by the corner of my eye, pulled back a single grain of rice, looked at it like he'd won a prize, and went, "Bet." Then ate it. I jerked away so hard my backpack strap slid off my shoulder. "What is wrong with you?" Bon chewed thoughtfully. "Breakfast." That was on my face. "Waste not." I stared at him in horror. He shrugged. "You lucky I'm here taking care of you." I looked back down the bus. The girl had taken a seat farther back, head slightly lowered, hands folded in her lap, motionless, like she had all the time in the world. School was no better. If anything, it was worse, because now I had to pretend I was a normal senior while my brain kept replaying every weird thing from the last 24 hours. I kept scanning hallways, windows, reflections in trophy cases, crowds between classes. Every once in a while I saw a little flicker of blue nearby. The orb, still following me, still silent. I didn't know what it wanted, but after last night I knew one thing for sure. It had saved me. That should have made me feel better. It didn't. It just meant I needed saving. By second period, I'd almost managed to calm down. Then, in the hallway before lunch, I saw Jane. And because God clearly hated me this week, Jane looked good. She was by the vending machines talking to Risa. Jane Foster had this effortless way of standing around like she wasn't trying and still looking more put together than everybody else. Relaxed, confident, like she'd never once had to rehearse a sentence in her head before saying it. Risa stood next to her, holding her bag close. Quiet, pretty, trying not to show too much on her face and still somehow showing all of it. Jane said something. Risa made a face and lightly shoved her shoulder. Jane laughed. I looked away instantly before I got caught looking. Then looked back like 1 second later because I'm weak, and that was when my brain betrayed me. For a second, the hallway disappeared. The lockers faded. The noise faded. The fluorescent lights turned into soft, romantic sparkles like I was in some low-budget drama. Jane walked toward me in slow motion. Her hair moved like there was wind indoors, which made no sense, but in my fantasy, apparently the hallway had a fan budget. She stopped in front of me and smiled. "Hey, Anna," Fantasy Jane said. "I've actually liked you for a long time." My soul almost ascended. Then Risa appeared beside her. Soft lighting. Perfect timing. Even more impossible. "Actually," Fantasy Risa said, looking shy. "Me too." I stood there like the main character of the greatest romance story ever told. Two beautiful girls, one awkward idiot, a hallway full of destiny, then smack. Bon elbowed me so hard my fantasy exploded. The sparkles died. The hallway came back. The vending machine came back. Jane and Risa were still way over there, not confessing anything to anybody. Bon stared at me. "Bro, what? You smiling at a locker?" I was not. "You look like you just got proposed to by a water fountain." "I'm literally just walking." Bon looked at the locker, then looked at me, then looked at the locker again. "Locker got Riz?" "Stop." He elbowed me again. "Now who we scouting?" "Nobody." "That's 2 girls and 1 locker in under 30 seconds. You having a career day." "I hate you." At lunch, Bon kept trying to bait me into talking. "You still on that ghost lady thing?" "She's not a ghost." "You sound super convinced." I stabbed at my food. "I'm just saying I saw somebody." Bon nodded, like a coach dealing with a player in emotional crisis. "And I'm just saying maybe your breakfast should stay in your mouth next time so your brain gets nutrients." I glared at him. He grinned. That was Bon. Big dude. Football player. Talked like he was born with a crowd behind him. Could roast you to your face and still be the most solid person in the room. He knew everybody. Or at least it felt like it. I'd moved to St. Paul in freshman year and spent most of that first year trying not to be noticed. Bon had basically decided I was his friend before I got a vote, which was good, because if I was going through supernatural breakdowns, I'd rather not do it alone. After school, Bon headed for football practice. He jogged backward a few steps and pointed at me. Try not to see no dead Victorian child on the way home. She's not Victorian. Bon stopped. Oh, so now we got lore? I almost laughed. Almost. Go to practice. He threw up a hand. Bet. I got on the bus alone. This time, I looked for her right away, and there she was, sitting near the middle like she'd always belonged there. The whole ride, I kept pretending not to stare. The orb floated near the front for a while, then drifted out of sight. When the girl stood up and got off, I followed her again. Not because I wanted to, because if I didn't, I knew I'd just spend the whole night imagining worse. She moved down a neighborhood route I barely knew. Small houses, low fences, fallen leaves clumped in the gutter, afternoon light already going dull. I kept a safe distance. She stopped at the corner, then turned. For the first time, she looked directly at me. Her face wasn't angry at first, just shocked. You can see me? My throat closed. I tried to answer. Nothing came out. The air around her changed. Her expression twisted. Not human anymore. Not even close. Her face stretched wrong. Mouth widening too far. Eyes darkening into pits. Body jerking like something underneath her skin had just remembered it was dead. Every part of me screamed to run. My legs did nothing. I froze in place. Move, I whispered. Nothing. I slapped my thigh. Move. Nothing. I hit harder. Move. Still nothing. She lunged. The scream that came out of her sounded like metal scraping inside my skull. I stumbled backward, my foot caught wrong, and I fell hard onto the pavement. Pain shot through my back. Fear shot through everything else. The terror was so sharp and sudden and humiliating that I felt warmth spread in my underwear. I had pissed myself a little, but enough, which honestly might be worse. No, no, no. I kept smacking my thigh like that was going to unlock some hidden athletic ability. The ghost girl was closer now, flying toward me, hair whipping, mouth open too wide. I hit my leg again. Move! Nothing. She got closer. Too close. My brain finally gave my body one command: not run, not fight, dive. I launched myself forward in the ugliest panic move ever performed by a human being. My butt went straight up in the air. My head and chest hit the wet pavement. My hands flew over my head like that would protect me from a dead girl trying to eat my soul. For one terrible second, I realized exactly where my face had landed. Oh no. The ghost shot over me. Then, honk, a truck horn blasted from the street. The sound cracked through the moment like a slap. The ghost stopped. Her face snapped back into normal shape. The rage vanished. The dead thing vanished. She became just a quiet girl again for half a second, then disappeared. My dad leaned out of his truck window. You good? I was still on the ground, butt still in the air, chest on the pavement, hands over my head, pride completely gone. 100%, I lied, voice cracking. He narrowed his eyes. Why you laying out here like that? I tripped. Dad gave me the long parent look that says, I don't believe you, but I also have bills to pay. He jerked his head toward the truck. Come on, you gonna be late for work? Right. Work. Of course I still had work, because apparently even supernatural humiliation doesn't cancel your shift. I got into the truck and tried to sit like nothing had happened. For a few seconds, Dad drove in silence. Then he sniffed. Once, twice, a third time. His face changed. He looked at me. Why you smell like pee? My entire body locked up. I don't. Dad sniffed again. You do. I stared straight ahead. Maybe I stepped in something. Dad looked me up and down. You stepped in something with your shoulder? I looked out the window. Could have been a dog. A dog peed on your shoulder? I don't know what dogs are capable of. Dad stared at me. I stared at the road like it had answers. He shook his head. You weird. I had no defense. He was right. I got home, changed faster than any man in history, cleaned up enough that I could pretend I hadn't just lost a fight against fear and my own bladder, and rushed to the coffee and boba shop. I was late. Again. Perfect. The little bell over the door jingled when I came in. Jane was right there by the entrance, carrying a sleeve of cups. She looked up and smiled a little. You made it. I instantly became aware of everything. My hair, my face, the fact that I was breathing too hard, the possibility that I still looked like a guy who had spiritually and physically disgraced himself less than an hour ago. Yeah, I said. Traffic. Jane looked at me, then looked at me a little longer. You take the bus. Bus traffic. She gave me the kind of look that said she knew I was lying and was deciding whether to be nice about it. Before she could say anything else, the bell over the door jingled again. Yeah. I froze. No, not now. Bon stepped into the shop with his football duffel over one shoulder, hoodie slightly sweaty from practice, and the confidence of someone who had never once been embarrassed in his life. Sigma boy. I covered my face with both hands. Jane looked from Bon to me. Sigma boy? Bon pointed at me. That's him. No, it's not, I said into my hands. Bon walked up to the counter grinning. Then he saw Jane. His whole face lit up. Yo, Riz master farming aura during work hours? I lowered my hands just enough to glare at him. Please leave. Bon ignored me and leaned on the counter. Jane crossed her arms. You just say random words until they form a sentence? Bon nodded seriously. That's called modern communication. Jane looked at me. You understand him? Against my will. Bon tapped the counter. Aight, let me get a boba. Jane grabbed a cup. What flavor? Bon pointed at the menu like he was making a business decision. Whatever make me look rich. Jane blinked. So, regular milk tea. Exactly. Luxury. While Jane made the drink, Bon grabbed a snack from the display. Jane looked over. Put that back. Bon held the snack to his chest. Employee discount. You don't work here? Spiritually, I do. That's stealing. Nah, that's community. Jane pointed at the register. Pay. Bon slowly turned to me. Put it on Anna's emotional support tab. I don't have a tab. You do now. Jane smirked. Practice end early, or did coach finally give up on you? Bon froze like he had been personally attacked. That's hate speech. Jane handed him his drink. That's observation. Bon took a sip and nodded like a professional critic. Okay, I see why people keep coming here. Jane tilted her head. For the drinks? Bon looked at me. For the drama. I turned away from him. There is no drama. Bon leaned closer. Bro, you working register with Jane. You are literally in a romance side quest. Stop, Jane snorted. Side quest? Bon pointed at her. Don't act like you don't see it. Jane gave him a flat look. I see you avoiding paying for chips. Bon slowly put the snack on the counter. Fine. Ring it up before you accuse me in front of my community. Jane rang it up. Bon paid, dramatically hurt the whole time. Then he leaned back on the counter like he was settling in. Aight. Serious question. Jane sighed. That sounds dangerous. You going to homecoming? Jane immediately made a face. I'd rather work. Bon slapped the counter. That's crazy. Jane handed him his receipt. Have you ever been to a school dance? Yeah. Then you know exactly why. Bon paused, then nodded. Fair. I tried not to react. Bon noticed immediately. He looked at me, then Jane, then back at me. Wait. No, I said. Bro was about to ask. I wasn't. He absolutely was. Jane shook her head. He absolutely wasn't. Bon's eyes widened. Now y'all agreeing with each other. This is getting serious. Jane threw a straw wrapper at him. Bon dodged it dramatically. Violence. In a place of business. Jane pointed at the door. Leave. Bon shook his empty drink. Damn. Tragic. You literally finished it. Exactly. Bon stood up and grabbed his duffel. I instantly felt hope. Okay. Bye. Bon looked offended. Bro trying to get rid of me. Yes. Bon pointed at Jane. See? Honesty. That's growth. Jane pointed harder at the door. Leave. Bon started walking backward toward the exit. Aight, Sigma boy. Keep farming aura. Please stop saying that. Impossible. The bell jingled as he opened the door. Before stepping out, he looked back at us. If y'all get married, I better be best man. Get out, I said. Get out, Jane said. Bon grinned. Also, homecoming still trash. Jane nodded. See, finally something smart. Bon pointed at her. That's why you my favorite employee. I am the only employee here right now. Exactly. The door closed behind him. For a second, the shop was quiet again. Jane shook her head, but she was smiling a little. Your friend is exhausting. That's his superpower. Unfortunate. I almost laughed. Almost. Then her phone buzzed on the counter. She checked it and sighed. Risa, she muttered. I looked away fast, pretending not to hear. Jane typed something back, then slid the phone into her apron pocket. You okay? She asked me. The honest answer was, no, absolutely not. I think dead people are trying to run me down after school, and I may have peed a little in front of one. Actually, on one, technically. Instead, I said, yeah, just tired. Jane studied my face like she wanted to ask more. Then she nodded toward the back. Can you cover register for a sec? I need to grab more cups from storage. Yeah, easy, simple, normal, exactly what I needed. I took my spot at the counter and tried to focus on lids, straws, drink stickers, literally anything not cursed letters or screaming ghosts. The orb floated near the ceiling fan. Still there, still quiet. I looked up at it. You gonna start explaining stuff anytime soon? I whispered. Nothing. The orb only hovered there, silent, watching. From the back, I heard the storage room door open. A second later, Jane screamed, not a little startled gasp, a real scream. The orb shot downward so fast it looked like a blue streak. It flew into the back hallway, then immediately came flying back out, fast, shaken, scared. That stopped me cold because the orb had never looked scared before. I ran. Jane! She stumbled back out of the storage room, pale and wide-eyed, one hand covering her mouth. She stopped. I don't know what I just saw. I pushed past her and looked inside. At first, I thought it was just shadow. Then it moved. A shape hunched in the back corner between stacked syrup boxes and supply shelves. Dark, warped, fading in and out at the edges. Its face looked wrong in a different way than the bus girls had. Less human, more rotten. Like something demonic wearing the leftovers of a face. Its mouth hung open too wide. Its eyes were sunken black pits. And even though it looked weak, unfinished almost, it was real. Completely real. The orb hovered behind me, trembling. The thing in the corner twitched once. Its mouth stretched wider. It smiled. Then, it disappeared.